He sounds so abrasive. He's just like, nah, recording you bitches.
Hello, Craig.
I know. Like, I picture Craig much sexier than the bot that's pictured here. Like, Craig brings me really good coffee.
He's like that 50 Shades of Grey Craig.
Right. Like, he has a nice sweater on, multicolored, and he's bringing me a mocha latte with foam. My Craig is.
I have this vision. He's like, here's your coffee, but now get naked, bitch.
I'll show you the cards all over. I'll be your fool any day.
Let me tie you up and spank you.
Oh my god. Too much. I don't want Craig touching my bottom. It's sensitive. It's too much for Craig.
He must like the frog voice.
You do not have a frog voice. What? Like, I don't know. What is a frog voice? I mean, a frog voice to me is like, sometimes there's so many songs about rainbows. Like, what is your frog voice? Is this going to the blooper reels?
I feel like sometimes my voice is like the croaking like type of lowest of low.
No, your voice is actually pretty high. Well, I think it's high. I don't think it's low. I think my voice is low. See, that's like the weird thing. Like, you ever like, I've gone back and forth with this so many times, it's so freaking ridiculous. But you're like, so like somebody sometimes somewhere told me they were just like, people judge themselves so harshly, like themselves. And we actually don't know what we sound like for real or what we look like for real.
That is true.
So it's like we have this, I don't even know what I look like. And then I'm just like, I look at myself in the mirror every day and I'm like, that's not what people see. What do I look like?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then people will tell you you're pretty, or people will tell you that you sound nice, and you're just like,
where?
Okay.
Bitch, where?
Like, okay, well, all right. Like, I'm confused.
Well, that's the same concept of my voice. I feel like every time I'm hearing it, I'm like, ew, cringy.
Yeah, like, I literally think that I sound cringy. So I think we don't even know what we sound like.
Well, you're not really cringy. We're just different.
I think I sound like I'm on drugs all the time.
Actually, I have to disagree on that one.
See, you think you sound like a frog, and I just feel like I sound like a space cadet.
Oh boy. I swear we can never make this shit.
I do know my voice can get deep sometimes, though.
Well, at least it doesn't croak.
You don't croak. Like, you're not like...
Well, sort of.
I'm like, what do you... I'm so confused. I am so confused. Oh, Jesus. So, I think I'm gonna, like... I'm not, like, gonna speed through mine, but I'm gonna, like... I don't know. Mine's gonna be shorter than yours.
First?
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm gonna do mine first because it's gonna be shorter, and I think we're gonna spend more time on yours talking.
Yeah, 5 pages in.
Jesus fucking Christ, 5 pages.
That was literally short as hell. She's like, Lord Jesus, we have to go through 5 pages.
And she's got bullet points and pictures and whatever.
This would be a whole presentation.
A whole presentation that was made on Excel.
That's right.
You know, as long as Excel has been in the works, as long as Excel has been, like, made by Microsoft, I don't think I've ever used that shit. I've always been confused as fuck.
I think they tried to teach me that shit in high school, and I was like, what the fuck is this? Still don't even get it.
Yeah, and, like, I guess it's needed now. Like I see job postings all the time. They're just like, Excel experience, and I'm just like, man, I should have experienced that. Like, I had my shot, I missed it.
Well, a lot of them want you to know PowerPoint too on top of that.
I actually do know PowerPoint, but I don't like it. I just think it's very boring. Like, I think all that shit is boring. Like, Like I can make slides, but I just think it's very boring to make slides. Like nobody likes to read slides. Like we're in the like what century are we in? That's how out of sorts I am. I don't even know where we are. But like because I believe that like almost 2021 or 2020 and 2021 is like its own category.
True.
I almost don't want to call it like the 20th century or whatever. I'm like this is its own animal.
Well,
But
it's amazing that we still use these programs and they've been around since we were kids.
right, it's been around since Oregon Trail, since
Oh,
I died of dysentery. That's how old this shit
I
is.
was actually trying to find an Oregon Trail app on my phone not
No,
too long
I think
ago.
they're actually missing the mark by not making an Oregon Trail that I can play when I go potty.
I agree. I was looking for it and I'm surprised nobody made it.
I want to die from dysentery in real life while I'm going to the bathroom. Like that should be a thing. It's such an old ass game. You can't make that happen.
That just tells you guys that we're old.
I mean, yes, but I'm just saying that they're missing a whole thing here. Like literally, okay, I work at Dollar General, so I always tell everybody every time their credit cards don't work because our systems are like hella old. I'm just like, yeah, I could play Oregon Trail on this thing, and they always laugh at me. So that always lets me know how old the audience I am, or that is the customer. Like if I say
Right?
Oregon Trail and they laugh, I'm just like, I know where you is. but but literally the monitors that we use at Dollar General were made by IBM. So that also tells me something because I can't remember the last time I've seen an IBM monitor.
Yeah, that was like so long ago. Dollar
Right.
General, get your shit together.
Like IBM, where are you all finding this shit? Like I just picture Dollar General just sifting through a garbage pile of monitors and going, this one looks fine. We'll just put that one in the new store.
Any way to save money.
Well, that's cool. Whatever we have to do.
Who the fuck is calling me on Facebook? You should not be calling me.
Jesus.
There is not a dull moment on my Facebook.
So do you want to actually start this? We can start this thing. You can do it now.
Yeah, sure. Let me let my dog out and we can start.
Okay, let your dog out.
You know, she's so annoying, especially when you know you're starting something. Children, animals, and family always have to be
Well,
there.
mine's out of the room. That's why I'm like, you want to start this now?
Oh, I'm on it. Gives me like,
You're good, girl. Go, go, go.
I'm going. I swear, it's every time I let my dog out, there's a person that walks by with a dog.
Oh.
And then my dog does not want to do what she has to do. And then she has to get excited. And then there's this guy carrying his chihuahua because he knows my dog is running around. And I had to ask him, is that a male or female? He's like, male. I'm like, no wonder why she's excited.
Is your dog fixed?
No.
Oh, damn.
She was like, oh, male counterpart.
She's like, hi. You see how fluffy my fur looks today? Don't mind the face plant from the other day. That's just extra shit.
That's all right. I like it rough. You can face plant me in the dirt.
So, for all y'all don't know, like, Rain sent me this picture of her dog, and she looks so pitiful, and she was just looking at somebody like, you did this to me, and literally, I guess she just, like, face planted in some dirt.
Yeah, she did. And then when she did that, she was looking at everybody else in the house every time I'd ask her what happened. And she kept looking at him like, well, if this person didn't let me outside, this wouldn't have happened.
Like the board game Clue, but it's just like, who face planted the dog in the dirt?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
See, my dog just hates when I like try to get dirt off of him. Like he just likes to be with the dirt. The dirt is his friend.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Tucker loves the dirt.
I don't remember the last time I give him a bath, y'all. I'm being honest. Like I know he looks pretty white, but I don't know how that happens.
He's a little spicy.
Maybe the 10 cats that live in my house clean them in the middle of the night and I don't know about it. They're like little worker elves and they come here and just lick them off and I'm just not sure. Like I'm asleep. I like to think that that's what actually happens.
Yeah.
Alright guys, so Rain's back. She has taken her dog to potty, so we're gonna start this podcast.
Welcome.
Welcome to Plush Magic. Welcome. I am working really hard on a lot of things, for one. So I'm literally working on our Patreon website, our actual website. I am working on getting merchandise to send to people, to our fans, especially the ones that actually do things, like send us stories or actually contribute to the podcast. Like you guys are gonna get some stuff, but there's very few of you right now. Probably only 3, so I'm really not banking. I'm not breaking the bank right now with the 3 people that I have going on. But God, Jesus, I'm always working. If anybody knows me that I'm always working. If I'm not like working, I'm working on the things
I was
that I
gonna
like.
say, when are we not working?
You're right. Like that's all we do is work. Legit, that's all we do is work. So yeah, so literally I'm talking to somebody to I was gonna get a logo made professionally, but my middle child is actually giving me his Wacom tablet, so I might actually be making it.
Is it the one with the screen?
Mm-hmm.
Woo!
I know, so y'all get to see my drawings, which are terrible, but they're cute.
Sure.
It's fine. It's handcrafted, made with love. It's fine. So, I think I'm going to go that route. My other son, my oldest son, he's going to be working on the intro to the podcast. So I have that going on. But then again, if he falls through, because I have literally 3 cancer sons. If y'all don't know, so it's like I kind of like ask them to do things, but I expect nothing. So sometimes I just do it myself. And so I have literally tons and tons of stuff that I'm working on for the podcast. If y'all want to visit us on Patreon, it's literally Plush Magic on Patreon. If y'all want to subscribe. Our first subscribers will be getting gifts from us. Just
Woo!
y'all will be getting gifts from us. Yeah, you will be getting gifts from us. So if you subscribe and contribute to the podcast, you will be getting stuff from us. Otherwise, if you don't have money to contribute, at least like send us stories.
We would
That's the least you can do, and like our podcast and share it. Like subscribe, like, and share us out to other people. That is the bare minimum that you could do to support us. That would be an enormous amount of help.
Remember, sharing is caring.
Oh my god. I heard Sharon is Karen.
Oh boy.
No Karens on this podcast.
That's right. Don't be a Karen.
Don't be a Karen. So I'm gonna share my story first today, only because it's shorter. But I really love. Like we're not actually supposed to know each other's podcasts, but at the same time, or our each other's stories. But because me and Rain are so similar, we try to like give each other hints because we're like, are you doing this too? Like we don't want to do the same story because our energies are so similar. So it's like we could potentially have that issue. But I'm going to butcher every pronunciation in this story. Like every, like all the words. Like I'm sorry. I'm just going to say I'm sorry. like right off the bat, because it's a lot of like Spanish pronunciation. So if like I butcher it or I say something wrong, I'm sorry. And if you want to correct me, you can. But just make sure you're correcting me via your voice, because if you just say you said it wrong, I'm still gonna be like, okay.
And at the end of the day, she already knows. She said
Yeah,
it
I
wrong.
already know I'm gonna say like most of, like, cause me and my son and his new girlfriend, I literally wrote this and then I went out to the living room and I was just like, hey guys, how do I say these words? And they already knew I was butchering it, like, because I was just being silly. Because so basically I'm doing La Llorona or La Llorona. So it's the weeping woman in Spanish. So that is my story today. But I was literally like singing in the living room and I was just like, hey, La Llorona. Like, I was like doing the Macarena song. I was, and my son was just like, Jesus Christ. My mom is like, there's a problem. All right, so I am doing La Llorona, and then I will let Rain announce her story because I'm not even gonna begin. Like, I think I've tried to pronounce that title too before, but I was just like,
We know that you don't come
yeah,
from Mexico.
no, I was just like Pasadena. Like, it just
Wording, everyone. Rebecca does not have Spanish blood.
I don't have any blood. I am a vampire, I guess. Like, I don't have any culture, guys. I'm sorry. I am that one.
Fair.
So, in English terms, it is the weeping woman. And actually, there's many different cultures that have this woman in it, but the Spanish culture seems to be more heavily saturated. So, like, Spain is where she at, y'all. You want her number, that's where she is. Basically. So, La Llorona. Okay, so like if we're gonna go way back, so I'm gonna go way back first. So it's like I think it's called the Nachua. Like I said, I'm gonna butcher all this shit. So this tradition or this culture here, so this is like the earlier like Aztec tribe. So this is like before the Spanish conquisition, before all that stuff happened, before all that like war and stuff. So the Aztec empire. So basically this part of her story talks about events that were like omens, like a bunch of omens happened back at that time in that era. Many included like it was like a lot of fire. So a lot of the temples back in the Aztec empire caught fire. So a lot of the goddesses temples all caught fire, and they said this is a horrible omen, something's gonna happen. And they actually said that they predicted that that was the change of the era, which wasn't wrong, because that was probably right before the Spanish Inquisition. So a lot of these things happen. I think it's kind of funny because they said that there was a fire streak that ran across the sky and like burned all these temples, but I wonder if those weren't just like meteors or something. Space rocks that just like caught all these temples on fire, because I really think back in the day everything was so raw. And the earth was still very young, so a lot of things were still in development. The earth was still in development, like there was a lot of like still raw nature going on. So I kind of wonder if maybe that's what happened. But they said that there were 8 bad omens that followed, and it was the end of the Aztec Empire, which they weren't wrong, because that's when the Spanish Inquisition came in. That's when Catholicism came in. They watched as their religion and their beliefs were crushed. Like it was taken over by Catholic and Spain. So Catholicism in Spain, they took over the Aztec Empire and took over their religion and took over their beliefs. So around this time is when they first started seeing this weeping woman. So this is like way back then. So, and like they saw her so frequently that actually the Catholic Church and the priests and them asked people to like walk up to her and ask her why she was there and get information from her. Like, I don't know. Like, if I saw a ghost, like a crying woman ghost that's like scary as shit, like, I don't be like, hey girl, what's up? Like, you okay?
Right?
Like, she's crying and she's wailing, and like, I don't know if she has like tears of blood or anything. Like, her eyes are probably like sunken and everything. Like, hey girl, so the priests over here, they just want to know, what's going on? Like, you all right? Like, you want to talk about it? And a lot of this stuff had to do with children too, so it's extra creepy. So like, I mean, you're just like really putting yourself in some kind of situation, and like, I like at this point, like, I don't even see where the priests were like, hey, I'll go up there and see him. Like, they asked other people to do it for them, so that's kind of like, if you're not gonna do it, I'm not gonna do it. Like, you first, brah, you first. The Aztec version says that that they were women. It literally says women that died from childbirth, and then they became goddesses. And I'm gonna butcher this too. My son said it a billion times for me, and I'm still gonna butcher it. So it was like Chiotio or Chitio, butchering it.
Fair.
But that's pretty close to the pronunciation. So basically these women died in childbirth and they became goddesses. But there were certain days during the Aztec calendar where they would come back down to Earth. Now when they came back down to Earth, so like, they really didn't explain why, like, they're goddesses, like when they gave child, like they died in childbirth and they went to heaven, became goddesses. But for some reason during these Aztec calendar days, they didn't explain it. But when they came back down to Earth, girl, they looked ratchet. They had like grass hair and claws, and they would actually steal children. They would cause seizures and madness in people. So I just, they didn't explain why, like, that they would do this. And then the one thing that kind of frustrated me, that made me question it, was just like, they come down during these certain calendars and they were like, okay, they would steal children, they would cause seizures and madness in people, and then they said, or seduce men into adultering. And I was just like, some guy was just like, it's Cheerio, she did this shit. I didn't cheat on you, bae. It was that goddess devil woman.
Well, that kind of sounds like succumbus.
The succubus?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're very similar, but this is like, I guess, the Spanish version of it. But either way, I still think it's bullshit, because it's just some way, to me, it's just some way some guy's just like, yeah, that wasn't me, girl. It was the Chichirio. She did that. Chitatirio. I'm so I'm like gonna butcher it this whole time. That's the hardest word that I have to say through this, so it's fine. I'm sure Rain's man's just like, Jesus Christ.
I can't wait for him to hear
Spanish,
this.
right? So he's gonna be like, girl, whatever. Like, she just ruined my whole culture.
He's just gonna laugh at you.
I know. He's just gonna be like, she sounds horrible. So, okay, so the current Spanish culture, so this is nowadays, so this is like 2020. All right, so today's culture calls the weeping woman La Llorona, or La Llorona. And the story of La Llorona is a little more basic, saying about a woman who marries a rich ranchero, and one day she sees her husband with another woman, and she gets really upset, and like in a fit of rage, she decides to drown their children. But then she instantly regrets that decision. So she instantly feels guilty, and she tries to save them, but it's too late. And they all die. So in turn, she commits suicide by drowning herself. And now she's seen at night wailing and crying for her lost children. So that's like today's story.
Oh.
Yeah. So some versions have her saving children. it's so weird. Like if you listen to different stories, so some of them have her like saving children and putting them on the right path, that kind of thing. But other versions have her killing children. So it's like way off in left field. It's like either she's saving them or she's murdering them. Um in the middle of the night. Okay, so like there's even a story about La Llorona in Greek culture, which that one has to do with Lamia, and she had an affair with Zeus and had children with Zeus, and then Hera finds out and kills all of her children, and so in turn Lamia comes around at night and kills other people's children. Like I don't know why. Like, like this girl killed my kids, so I'm gonna kill everybody else's kids. Like I don't understand that.
I still feel like there's some type of connection to
Yeah.
Succubus.
There, yeah, and we kind of talked about this on like the banshees and stuff like that as well. Like, remember me? You were talking about banshees and succubuses and things like it's like they're legit is this female entity, and honestly, this is the Spanish version of it, but I've seen it in English versions. I've seen it in America. I've seen it in Ireland. Like, there's always a woman in white somewhere that's like really upset, and she's gonna fuck your shit up. So, I think that that's not much different than this woman. I think that the reason why people get confused whether she's helpful or hurtful is because it's not always the same woman. It's not always the same spirit. It really depends on how that spirit passed away and how their energy was treated in the previous life. So that's why I think it's confusing whether she's helpful or hurtful, personally.
Well, didn't they say also in the Mexican culture that if you were to hear this lady, you would die?
Well, yeah. Well, so that's kind of what I was getting into next. So, but it's really child related because there's been so many different adaptations of her and stories, and they've evolved over the years. So it's not always the same woman. Some of the women or some of the spirits tend to deter women or deter children, like I said, from making bad decisions. And sometimes parents would tell the stories of La Llorona in order to deter their children from making bad decisions. So it kind of became like Santa Claus, but like a haunted Santa Claus, like the evil witch Santa Claus. Like, if you don't do what you're supposed to do, La Llorona gonna come in the middle of the night and kill you.
Ah.
Which, I don't know why you would do that to your kid, but I guess that could work.
They must have had some real baby kids.
Yeah, baby's kids. But okay, so many sightings, most of the sightings, and this is the interesting part of the story. So most of the sightings occur after rain falls. So when ditches or trenches are high, and the water levels are high, that's the most times that the Weeping Woman or La Llorona are seen in the Spanish culture, is when the water level is high. That is the most time that they hear this call, which I think also relates to a banshee. Like being water and things like that kind of relate to the same like song and cry and that kind of thing. To me, kind of relates to all of that. So I didn't write it down, but I did read a lot of stories and a lot of things where people have had encounters with her. Most of them were children, younger children that heard her crying. Most of them were at nighttime, and most of them were when it was raining or something like that, that they would hear her crying in the middle of the night. So, but I haven't really all the stories that I read, I don't think I've read one of them where they walked up to her, or pretty much all of them have been like, yeah, I'm not going over there.
Well, I guess that makes sense because water is always seems to be related to spirit connected.
Yeah. Water is definitely a portal. I don't know if y'all know that, but water is a portal to the other side of the veil. Definitely is. So anytime water is higher or anytime water is prevalent around you, that is a connection to the other side.
So that makes sense if somebody is afraid of water too. That just connected in my head.
So, like I said, I'm going to keep that story short because Reigns is very interesting and it's also local to her. So, but if y'all have any questions about La Llorona or want to add anything about the story that I just shared, please do on our page. I'd appreciate that.
That would be awesome.
So, we are going to skip ahead to Rain's story. Go ahead, Rain.
All right. So my story of the night is La Palazza Mansion, located here in Las Vegas.
Oh, that's right. It's La Palazza. That's why I was just like, it's. I don't know why I kept thinking it was some kind of bread.
Let's hear you say it.
I just did La Palazza.
Well, now you're saying it correctly. But before,
I don't know. It was some kind of bread, like papillon. I don't know. That's a butterfly. Like it was some kind of. I think I was just saying pan.
Fair. Well,
now does the outside of that house, is it cement and red and white?
from what I was seeing at the picture, it was like it may have when it was first built.
Oh, okay.
This house went through years of different remodeling, so they changed it to a light. I think it's like a light color with like a black color,
like a cream. Black.
Yeah, it's like a creamy color. Yeah.
Sorry, guys, that's my medium shit kicking in. I just do it.
All right, so let's get ready. All right.
I am not ready.
You're never ready, but you're coming with me anyway.
All right, let's go.
All right. La Palazza Mansion was built in 1959 and is located on 1700 Banny Avenue. The house is 5 bedrooms, 4.5 bathrooms, and is 4,815 square feet.
So we need to buy it.
It's huge. It's huge.
I mean, we could fit all of us.
And we could probably fit all of our animals and other people as well.
Okay.
All right. So it says this Spanish-style hacienda was owned by the mob boss Tony the Ant, an infamous mobster who reputedly oversaw the Chicago Mafia's considerable interest in Las Vegas in the 1970s.
His name was Tony the Ant. He didn't get a better name. His name was Ant.
Yeah, Tony.
Was he short?
I'm assuming so.
Tony the Ant. Oh my god, that is the worst name. That's not cool at all.
But if you're wondering who he is, they say that he was portrayed in the movie Chicago as one of the hitmen in the Mafia.
I'm pretty sure they didn't call him Tony the Ant in Chicago.
It was his name. Yep, it was.
It was? Oh my god. I'm just picturing this little guy that's like, you want to make me? Did you want to fuck with me? Like all like tiny voices. He just got like, they give him a little tiny knife. It's not like a big knife. They just give him a little toothpick. And he's got to stab people with that.
Well, when he came to Vegas, he wasn't very little. Anyways, they say that all on 1700 Banny Avenue, they're saying that the houses that surrounded La Palazza Mansion were also owned by people that worked for Tony the Ant or that were involved in the outfit of the mob business. All right. So also it talks about.
So like he owned all this fucking shit. He owned all these families. He made all this money. And like this was the house that he decided to center himself around, basically.
Well, yeah, because they're saying that basically in the golden years of Las Vegas, when the Mafia came into Las Vegas, they were involved in the entertainment, the hotels, the casinos.
Right.
And they ran a crime business involved with all of these. And it all was based from La Palazza Mansion.
And I think mob life back then was so much cooler than mob life now. Like I'm not saying that mob life is like the life, but like you just picture them in their like nice suits, and I always picture that one Persian cat in that one like movie where he's like, "You come to me in the day of my daughter's wedding," and I just think that all mobsters own Persian cats at this point, or own some kind of fluffy animal, and they're just asking a lot of questions and they look super cool. But nowadays, I just think that they just are dirty. like mob people and criminals back then had style. Like the criminals now do not have style.
Oh, they had a lot of style in this house. But rumor had it that the mob boss purchased La Palazza Mansion to carry out many attacks, murders inside the home. Some of them are said to be enemies, gang members that were insubordinate to the boss and the mob. And the mob presence during the golden years, like I said, of the city's expansion at that time, which was in the 60s and the 70s. That's when the casinos, the hotels, the entertainment, and all of that started to grow and build here. That they invested and they became a crime network here. And everybody who disagreed with Tony the Ant, they say, was killed in the house.
Well, shit. Well, damn. Because I'd be killed instantly because I don't agree with anybody.
Well, I'm glad you didn't live in those years.
Oh no, I would never survive in those years. Like I'm too nonchalant. Like I don't know. Like at the same point, I kind of agree with everything. Maybe my unicorn energy would fit in. I think I would probably be in a brothel or something.
Fair.
Where would you all be in that time? Like maybe y'all should let us know. Where do you think you would fit in mob time? Would you be like that gal? Would you be like the head gal, or would you just be dead, or would you just be working in a brothel? I think I would be serving drinks at the bar.
Fair.
Where do you think you would be?
I would probably be one of those I think I would probably be a flapper girl.
Yeah, like I picture you being like one of those card dealer ladies. Like I think that you would be like a blackjack lady or something like that.
That would be cool.
Yeah, I think that you would just be like that girl that's just like, put him in, boys. What's it gonna be? Dice or no dice?
Yeah, playing the hands with the mafia. All right, so that's just the base story of the house. So we know that this house was actually owned by the mafia, and after time, the house just sat empty on the market. I actually couldn't go really far back on the history of the house and how like the pricing and all that. The farthest back that they had listed was 1994. The house was owned but resold. So for many years, the house was on the market or it just sat empty, and then it was relisted.
You're cool. You're cool. I'm just wondering, like, the previous owners. Well, you said you really don't have a lot of history on it, but I'm just wondering if they just saw some things, or maybe there were some things going on in the house, or maybe there. I mean, if you said people were killed there must have been some like bullet holes and shit.
True, there was a lot of things with the house, but a lot, like in the beginning of time, first the owners that owned it had some, I think they were like family of someone that was owned,
okay.
Like, of the family of probably the mafia owned it at
okay. So they tried to keep it in the family.
Yeah, they really did, but then they didn't know like what to do with the house, and they didn't want to probably invest in it at that time because it literally needed a lot of work. They said that the house needed at least over $100,000.
Jesus Christ! I can't even make $50.
It needed updating, but it did eventually get updating. But they're saying that there was an owner, and before I get to the most, well, not the most recent, but there was an owner named Chris Martinez and Heather But they had a previous owner that Chris bought from, and they're saying that his name was Nick S. They didn't say his
Okay.
last name. Anyways, that owner did not believe in spirits or hauntings or any of that.
Gotcha.
So probably some of the owners that own the house probably didn't believe in any of that stuff because that seems to be pretty common nowadays.
And I am gonna like address some like there's some things that I'm feeling right now about this house, and I'm sure Rain's also gonna talk about this because we're both psychic, and that's really what like most of our podcast is our feelings on the spiritual aspects of most of these hauntings that we talk about on the podcast, because me and her feel some things throughout it, and I'm gonna let her continue on with her story, but I want to let you guys know that I'm already picking up things and we're gonna talk about it at the end.
Oh yeah, when I was writing this, I had to actually take breaks between writing this because I actually started to see things, and I kept hearing things in my own house, and it was like it was so intense energy just writing this because technically I am a writing medium. So when I sit down and write, I can actually see and hear and all of that. And it was this house has super bad energy.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so I'm gonna go to the part where the Chris Martinez and his girlfriend Heather bought the house, and they had a dog named Roxy. It was a pit
Cute.
bull.
I'm
And
gonna
it was,
ask you.
I want to say it kind of looked like Tucker. That's what I was kind of saying.
Yeah, I picture the big ears, but I think the coloring is wrong. I think they were more brown and white.
That could be. I mean, I don't know why, but I just got that sensation. He had like
I feel
it
like they
had.
were a happy dog.
Yeah, I agree. He said, Chris Martinez said that they had frequent sightings and deeply disturbing uh, experiences in the house. At first, the first things that started in the house when they moved in with Chris and his girlfriend and the dog, they said that Roxy would sit still on the floor and her eyes would track the movement of spirits walking around in the house.
You know.
And they said that the dog would see things from across the room, and it would scare the dog so bad that the dog would shake and tremble and end up peeing herself.
Oh my god, there. No. So they had to have a lot of towels on hand.
Yeah.
My dog shivers a lot, but I think it's just because he likes to be cuddled. But yeah, I could just imagine, oh my god, like your dog just sitting there just being still and all of a sudden just peeing itself. Ugh.
Also, Chris also mentioned seeing an older woman sitting in a chair. She was said to wear a huge oversized hat similar to the styles Jackie O made famous. She also wore huge sunglasses. So in that time frame, that was like the posh
right. Look. I do picture big sunglasses in this house, and I do picture like with them being very boxy and pointed.
Well, this lady that he was seeing was said to be the money counter for all the cash that ran through the La Plaza from the assorted mob Vegas business activities. She was thought of the mother of a major player from that era. She would work up in the attic with, quote unquote, the boys. Those were the other members, outfit members, who came and went through La Plaza as their assignments dictated. So they would all sit up in the attic. It also stated that in the windows in the attic where they put blackout curtains because the police would go up and down that street because it was well known at the time for mafia, the mob being there doing illegal activities. So they said that they also rigged the attic so the lights would turn out turn off so they wouldn't be seen as well.
Oh my god, that's so crafty. I can't do that stuff now. Like, I can literally not turn my light off right now. Like, I mean, I can turn my light off, but I'm just saying, like, I can't even do that Google stuff. Like, now. Could you imagine back in the day doing that? Like,
Right?
now we have technology that does that. We're just like, hey Google, turn my fucking lights off. Like back then they didn't have anything like that. They literally had to like actually work to do it.
But they say that this lady basically was very loyal to this outfit for the mob. And they say also that she played the hand in who was to be killed in the mafia and how they were going to make the plans to take the person out.
Yeah, I get a very strong vibe from her. I don't know if she was an aunt or anything like that, but it was definitely like a sister, like close knit. And she was definitely about the money. So I definitely get all that.
She was not, so everybody knows that she was not a nice little old lady. She
Oh
was
no,
not
no,
nice.
not at all.
She actually sat up in the attic smoking cigars with the boys and drinking alcohol, and she was very crude. She was a very, she had really bad energy.
No, but she liked her life.
She did. She loved her life. That was something that she loved, yes. But they talk about basically like I said, I'm gonna go back to that. She had suggestions about the final disposals of who were marked for death, and there was a room in this house, and it was a secret room, and it had like big steel doors. And it had two golden swans as the door handles. So that was going into, it was called quote
I
unquote
wonder
the
why they
murder
picked
room. And
swans.
it was a, well, it technically, the swans, they say, were like towel bars, but they had like, they moved a certain way and the door would open.
Okay, so it was aesthetic. Like the swans didn't mean like swans, because swans to me are just like freedom, dance.
That's true, but this room was not a typical room. It wasn't like a typical bathroom. It may have been a bathroom at one point in time, but they probably went in and like did some things to this room. But when you went into the room, it had white tiled floors, it had a white walls, and it only had an industrial sink in the inside. And there was a drain in the center of the floor. So they,
It already grosses me out.
yeah, and they called it the murder room, and that's where they say that they would take the victims and kill them in this room, anyways.
I'm picturing
So,
hair and stuff in there. Like, I don't know. I'm picturing all kinds of like.
um, so Heather, Chris's girlfriend, said she kept seeing the outline of a really tall man who had really long arms. And it would scare her to death. Like, scare her to death, petrify her. Like, she just couldn't, she had a hard time dealing with this in this house. And it was said that who she was seeing was called, who was the enforcer of the house, somebody who was like the muscle of the house at that time through the mob. They also, because ghost hunters did bring in a medium when they went into this house, but I was actually sat down and was reading what the medium was saying. And what she was saying about this enforcer was that he knew he was involved with the killings inside the house. And when asked why he was still walking around in the house, he said, we both basically match energy. He liked being in the house because of all the other negative things that happened in the house.
Yeah, and I also get a sense of pride there in the house. Like, even though they did what they did, there's like some sense of pride and family that goes in with this, as sick as it is.
Yeah, it really is. But he actually he was attached to this murder room, so
Mm-hmm.
And they said that Heather was constantly harassed by disembodied male voices talking dirty about her. And they said that these voices were actually coming from the attic.
That makes sense, because that's where they did all of their planning and stuff. And probably most of the guys that were up there really didn't give a shit about women.
And while she was hearing these dirty comments and them talking about her, she kept hearing like clinking of glasses and bottles, while the crude male conversations were being heard through the vents of going up to the attic. So if we think about that, that was because, like I said, they were drinking, smoking cigars, having a good time while they were counting money up in the attic area. And if you really think about it, those males that were probably once in the mob, do you really think they really respected women? I mean,
hell no.
No. So they were just, and it's crazy that they were actually physically talking about her. And that's
right. Like I said, they probably literally were like, this fucking whore, like, I'll just fucking do what I want with her, blah, 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 blah. They were probably treating her like garbage.
Yeah. And they said that basically nobody was up in, so we know for the skeptics, they're saying that nobody lived in the attic at that time. So I have to put that out there.
I mean, even if one person lived up there, like if you say like she heard multiple people, it's not just one person. So you would have to say that there were like 5 or 6 guys up there that she didn't know about. You know what I mean? Like there's no way.
Right. And then it says that things actually end up getting worse for Heather while she stayed in the house. She said that when she took showers in the master bathroom, the voices were commenting on her figure, her sex appeal, and other things, trying to degrade her, or they would whistle at her, and they would just like make her feel really, really uncomfortable.
That sucks.
But they said that she started to rush through her showers to shorten the duration of the verbal the verbal abuse, basically, she was getting from the spirit.
You guys shouldn't have to do that ever, honestly. Like, I mean, I rush through showers anyway, just because I'm uncomfortable. Usually because my showers don't get hot enough and I'm like bougie, but I'm just saying, like, could you imagine being a woman taking a shower and like hearing all these comments and you can't do anything about it, you can't see it, you can't do nothing, and like, oh my god, that's like ridiculous. Like that would be somebody's worst nightmare in a living situation, let alone like something you can't control.
Right. And we also need to think about this as well, because anytime I take a shower, I hear I don't know what it is, but the spirit world always bothers me when I'm in the shower, especially if you're a medium or you have the abilities to your third eye is open and your throat chakra is not fogged anymore. You should be able to
we were talking about that earlier.
Yeah, and I feel like this really links once again back to water. Remember on your story, people were water, water, water. Anytime water is around, it's like you're going to hear it. And if you are not blocked or you are sensitive to seeing, hearing, and speaking with the other side, you will always hear stuff, especially around water.
I just don't know why they need to be around when we're most uncomfortable. Like at that moment, where like we're really at our native, like most uncomfortable stripped selves. I like maybe that's just it, and we're just the uncomfortable ones. I don't know. Like maybe we should just accept it, but at the same time, I'm just like, bitch, like my whole boobs are out. Will you just like go over there for a second? I'll be with you in a minute. Like, just to me, it's like, why now? Like, and that is the most times that I hear voices or feel something staring at me or feel like, like, and it's just like spirits are always around everybody, like they're always around, and I just like at that moment, like I'm just like, no man, just like not in the bathroom.
Okay.
That's the worst place you can be.
It's like, for me, it's like, please, and they will mess with the water temperature as well. And if you're not listening to them, they will make it cold as fuck. But anyways, so Heather got really sick of all this all these spirits and these voices that she was hearing. So she decided to walk around in the house, walking down the hallways, knocking on the walls, trying to see if she can find a hollow spot in, possibly because at first, when they first moved into this house, they discovered the murder room. So it wasn't like something that they knew was there. It was like a discovery that they made.
So they were trying to find more.
Yeah. So what happened is when she was knocking on the walls, she ended up getting a knockback from a dark entity.
No, ew. That's gross. Now,
which scared the living bejesus out of this lady.
no, for real. Me too.
I think I would freak out. I mean,
right, like
it's already creepy enough.
This wall right now, like literally, like boom, 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 and like something was like boom, 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 boom. Like I literally would just leave.
But it didn't only just knock back at her; it was saying cuss words at her.
No, no.
Yeah, it was really creepy.
Yep. I might fight with it too. I'd be like, "Bitch, what? Oh, you want to fuck with me? Do you want to fuck with me right now?" I'm just kidding. I won't. I literally would probably run away. I would go buy ice cream.
I would too. I'd be like, "What?" I don't even think I would, like, after like the verbal abuse from being in this house. I
would have stayed past that. Like literally, she already said she was in a shower being verbally abused. I already would have been at a Starbucks eating a mocha, like drinking a mocha with some whipped cream and some sprinkles in it and some cinnamon, and just being like, "I'm not going back."
I think I would have already booked a hotel room and been like, "Yeah, not fucking with this."
Like, no, fam, no.
Anyway, so it says one Halloween, Chris, Heather, and the prior owner, Nick S. Well, remember, Nick S. he was not a spiritual person. He just did not believe in any of this. Anyways, they were hanging out because there was like a built-in bar area somewhere in the house. And they were there blaring the music, drinking, having fun, just shooting the shit with each other. And that's when Chris, when alcohol affects someone, they start to do some stupid shit. Mm-hmm. Well, anyways, Chris decided to grab a sword. He probably had like samurai. I think it was like some type of samurai sword or whatever that he had displayed in his house, probably somewhere. And he grabs the sword and he thinks he's going to be Rambo. And he starts provoking this dark entity and he's yelling at him because he can't take it anymore with everything weird happening and his anxiety. Like when you're in a room and you can just feel like you're being watched, and that can create the high anxiety. And it sometimes, depending on how dark the energy is, it can make people lose their mind or affect their mindset and play. And especially with alcohol being in our bodies, that becomes a depressant on top of that. So all of these things that were going on at this moment were just not a good concoction mixture.
I mean, I get all that, but the closest thing I have next to me is this unicorn cup, a broom, and a Fortnite plastic gun. So I guess that's what I'm wielding.
Anyways, he grabs this knife and he's like, or this sword, and he's yelling at them and he's provoking them. And that's when they see a glass basically slide off the shelf and it starts hovering. And then they drop it and it shatters all over the floor.
Eh,
That is when Chris loses his mind and he starts threatening the dark entity with this sword.
like, what are you gonna do to it with the sword, though? It's like a spirit entity. You really think a sword's gonna do anything?
Well, the dark entity, it said that the dark entity grabbed him, physically grabbed him by his throat and started choking him. And Heather said that she could actually physically see the handprint on his throat.
Oh
And
shit.
that's when Nick, the prior owner, grabs Chris and picks him up and runs and throws him physically outside of the house. And the entity let go and he was able to breathe again.
Well, yeah, that actually was probably pretty smart on Nick's part.
You mean picking him up and throwing him out of the house? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the spirit ended up letting go because we gotta look at it from the spirits are actually have the power inside the house. Outside of that house, they have no power. So you guys, listeners, can understand. There's nothing that they can generate them to have anything that they can do physically to you, because the source and the portal is inside this house.
Right, so he took him outside of the house and threw him outside the house so he'd be safe, even though that was like ballsy. But I mean, I
Right.
appreciate that. I would hope that you would do that for me if I got choked by a spirit inside of a house.
But you gotta think, Nick, they said that the prior owner, Nick, who had sold the house, didn't believe in spirits at all. So what really, and this is what, if I was sitting there and I was interviewing them, I would have been like, what made you want to what told you to pick Chris up and throw him outside of the house if you don't believe in spirits?
I think it was just an instant reaction just to get him out of the environment because I feel like he's one of those people just reacts.
True. I mean, there is people that just react. Me, on the other hand, I'm always, man, the questions that roll around in my head. I always want to know. But anyways, they said that because he didn't believe in spirits, when he lived in the house, he actually lived in the house, that they said that he would actually hear things in the residence of the La Plaza. So he was hearing things up like talking and all of that in the attic. But they said, well, he said that to him, they sounded like buzzing voices broadcasted by a transistor radio.
Huh.
But that makes me question again, is if he was hearing that and he was hearing it as in like a radio, transistor radio, like, wouldn't you go and try to figure that out and outrule that and be like, oh, this is actually haunted?
I mean, I really feel like maybe he just didn't want to know.
True. But they say as time went on, Chris's personality started to change in the house. His demeanor started to change. He would get really angry. He would go from being a nice person to zero in like 1 second. He became so angry that these spirits were starting to manipulate him and his mindset and his personality. And he became where he started walking around his house with guns in his belt. And he started to, they said that he connected with the dark entity, and the dark entity was like basically trying to be his friend at one point in time in this house.
Gross.
That's what I say. But they said one day Chris decided to go into the murder room because he felt like the dark entity would be there. That is when he decided that he was going to explore in the room, and he ended up trying to pull, he was like starting to pull like the sink and the drain out of this murder room. Yeah. And that's when he looked and he seen that there was caked blood behind and in this drain area, or the drain of the sink. And that was not the only thing that he says he found in this house. He stated that he found an old school 22 caliber guns, so there wasn't just one, there was multiple of them. And he was sure that they were used as part of the executions that took place in La Plaza Mansion.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so I'm assuming the guns that he found in the house were the guns that he was wearing around in his waistband, and he was walking around the house pacing back and forth like paranoid weird. And then it basically says that that Heather and Chris couldn't take it anymore being in the house, and they end up moving out of the house. And then Chris states that he's happy about his freedom. They eventually put the house on the market, and it sat empty for years, like literally years. At that time, I think they listed the house for $345,000, and it just sat empty for years and years and years.
You said you. I mean, I guess I'm skipping ahead, but you said that your husband or your man actually worked on it as well, right?
Yeah, I'm about to get to this part. Well, the house eventually. No, you're fine. The house eventually sold to an investor, and the investor, I want to say 2012. Between 2012 and we're trying to think of the dates the other day. I want to say between 2012 and 2014 is when the house he worked on it. The investor tried to remodel this house, and like they went in and gutted the entire house. And they were now my husband says he didn't work on the physical inside, but he knows people who did. And he only worked on the outside, but they did hire security guard. So because between the time of when Chris and Heather put the house on the market for sale, it sat empty, and between that time and when basically Ghost Hunters created the episode with the house, that people were going in and vandalizing the house. The house was vandalized by people ghost hunting people, or kids that were trying to go in there and party. And you know how when abandoned house sits for so long, that these types of things, it got vandalized and destroyed. So they said that the house, the inside, when the investor bought it, he actually ended up buying it for $100,000. Chris and Heather lowered it so low because nobody was buying this house and they were desperate to sell the house. And the investor bought it for $100,000. But
oh wow,
the damage that was created between the years of it sitting empty and it being vandalized, they said that they needed to invest in over $100,000 just to get it decent.
Okay, so he pretty much just bought it for free.
Pretty much. And so the investor went in and he hired security guards to watch the house because he didn't want anybody breaking into the house. He wanted to protect his investment. But he expected the security guards to be inside. So the first night the security guards are there, they had to be inside. And they said that they heard talking. They kept hearing the power tools turning on and off. And they kept hearing like things like they kept feeling really creeped out from being in the house. That they got so scared on the first night of being in the house that they told the owner or the investor, we're not going to be in this house. We will be on the outside of the house, but we're not going in the house.
Right.
And the investor agreed. And they sat outside. They said the power tools would go on and off all night long. You would hear the nail guns popping, and you would hear the saws turning, and you would hear it sounded like people were throwing wood, like wood planks down, and the spirits in the house were taking all, and these tools were not plugged in. So you guys know these power tools were not plugged into the walls.
That would scare the shit out of me. I'd be afraid that like something would come at my head or something.
But I guess from what it said that the security guards got paid pretty good for sitting outside watching.
I mean, still, like, I mean, I don't know. Like, I could be paid pretty good, but if something's gonna come get me, like, I don't know. I've seen a lot of horror stories. Like, money isn't everything.
But then they also, from what my husband said, that they tried to crack the basement. He said there was a basement. I don't know because it doesn't tell me how many. It tells there's 5 rooms, but I don't know how they consider if there was a full basement or whatever. But they said that they went when they were in the middle of remodeling that they wanted to crack the basement floor and redo the foundation or whatever. Anyways, when the guys went down there, every time they would try to turn on the power tools to try to crack the floor, all the power tools would turn off. And every time they tried it, like they couldn't get the power tools to even stay on. So they end up being like, oh, well, this isn't happening because nothing is working at this point. A few of the guys on the construction team did say that they did see the lady in the chair.
Yeah, I think she's very prevalent.
She is. And they said that she talked to them and they would get scared and she would tell them to get out. She also told them, a few of them, that they were trespassing as well.
Mm-hmm.
But then, basically, I mean, they end up completing the remodeling of this house, but it was not an easy process of the remodeling as well. So the house ended up getting sold eventually over time, but I do want to say, I almost forgot this part, where they went into the murder room when they were remodeling. And they took the drain out of the floor. They were turning that room into a normal, I don't know if they were doing like bathroom or whatever, into a normal room, but they had to take the drain out of the floor. And it was said that when they took the drain out of the floor, there was years of encrusted blood in the drain.
Oh, gross.
And that was really horrifying for them.
So I'm still curious about this lady because I definitely feel her presence. Like even though we're even with us talking, I feel her.
Yeah, she is very strong spirit.
Yeah, very extremely strong spirit that I feel her. That even though I've never been there and I haven't like physically been in the house or talked to anybody that has been physically connected to the house besides you and your boyfriend, but I feel her like extremely strong.
Yeah, and there's also a dark entity too that was in the house, and it said basically because with all the deaths that happened in the murder room, that it basically summoned the demon.
Mm-hmm.
And the demon basically, this dark entity demon, anyways, lived. It just like created an open portal for all the negative entities.
Right. I mean, I do also sense I don't know who this is, but I do also sense a very big man. He has a long face. He has a big face. He has long arms, but his head features are rather large. But his arms are also long, but it's weird because his the lower half of his body isn't as long as the upper half of his body is. So I'm trying to figure out who that is, but I feel like that person actually hurt people too.
Yeah.
But his eyes come across as dark to me.
Do you think that was what Heather was seeing? The same guy with the long arms?
It could be, yeah. He has a hat. He does have a hat, like but even his hat doesn't like fit his head very well. It seems to me like that was the only place that he could be, and his energy gives me like this was my job. This is what made me feel human in a sense that he didn't have a place, but that place.
Well, the guy that I was talking about that was that Heather kept seeing, the medium that came into the house with ghost hunters actually said she talked to this guy and she asked him if he murdered people in the murder room, and he said, "Yeah, I had to. It was part of my job."
Yeah, like like to me it feels like that. It does feel like a job, or like this is what like he keeps saying this was my place, or this is what I had to do. Like
Yeah.
it's like this is what I was given, almost kind of energy that he's giving me, that he didn't have anywhere else to go, that he was given a job and he just had to do the job that he was given to do. Like that's basically what it was. Like he has no remorse or anything. It was almost like a 9 to 5 for him.
Yeah. And when the medium asked him why was he still in the house, even at a spirit level, he said basically his energy matched the energy of the house.
Mm-hmm. And I also feel like he fears like what's gonna happen if he leaves the house.
Fair.
Like he feels like if he stays there, if he stays in this place, that he knows that this is what it is. Like this is what it's been my whole life. This is what it is. If I leave here, then I don't know what it is. Like I know death and I know murder and I know what I had to do and it was a job. But if I leave here, I'm answering to something that I don't understand. It's kind of like a lot of the energy that I'm getting from the house or from some entities in the house is they don't know what spiritually or what energy is outside of the house. They're afraid of judgment.
True.
Basically.
So basically, what I know, even when my husband said that at the time when he was working on the house, when they got it almost all the way done, and the investor actually ended up selling the house. I guess at that time, I guess the investor sold it for $1 million. He took his
Oh wow.
100,000 and ended up turning it around for $1 million.
Good job, bro.
And but it came at a price though, because at he was the new owners when he sold the house. He had to, like the new owners have to come in and they have to invest. They have to come in and see the house before they sign the paperwork.
Right.
Okay, so the investor and the new owners were in the house. So the investor said, "I have to go to the bathroom." So he goes to the bathroom, and as he's done in the bathroom, he opens the door and he sees a black hooded figure, like a man. It was a male energy that had a black hood, standing in the doorway, and it basically he's seen it for a few seconds, and they said that he passed out on the floor.
Oh
And
damn.
he ended up going to the hospital and he almost died. In the hospital, they said was unknown causes.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure he almost scared himself to death. So that's a cause.
Well, I mean, it's been said that the shadow figure tried to kill him. But the shadow figure before he passed out is said that he was trespassing.
Gotcha. Yeah, I feel like it's a very private place for these spirits. I definitely get that they have their own blockade or their own space, and they do not like people coming in it at all. At all. They're almost still living that time in that house over and over and over.
Yeah. And this is the thing is now the house is occupied. It's not no longer empty. It is owned. There is people who live there now, and it just makes see how do those people live in that house after everything that is
I don't
said.
know. Do they like have a whole family there?
I'm not sure. I just know that the owners are private. So like it says
Gotcha.
when you go and look at it, it says it doesn't show their names or anything. You can anytime you buy a house, you can remain anonymous or be like private owned house. Um, it doesn't say, but it just says that there is people that do live there. I don't know if they don't believe or if they do believe.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but with everything that was said, I guess ghost hunters went into the house and they have EVPs of uh, ghosts saying "kill her." They were referring to Heather at the time when they lived in the house. There was cussing. There was snarls. There was all sorts of EVPs from the house when ghost hunters went in.
Crazy. So I guess y'all can look that up on Ghost Hunters if you want to see that episode. I haven't actually seen that episode, so I'll probably look it up after this podcast so I can see it.
Yeah, and this is also part of the mob tours here in Las Vegas. So if you guys are also ever come to Las Vegas, you guys can do the tours of haunted places as well. This was part of the tour and part of the mob museum too as well
She
because it
said
is
tour. I've never heard that word.
tour.
Tour. I say tour.
You know we live on different sides.
East Coast is like tour, and you're like tour. Tour.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Come visit the tour. I like it too. I'm just saying, we're like so bland. Like we don't put spices in our stuff. We don't get to say tour, so we just say tour.
That is why me and Rebecca are sugar and spice.
She's more spice. I'm more bland.
I'm a chili pepper.
She's a chili pepper. I am not. I'm just here. All right, guys. So that was you have to say it again. La Plaza.
La Palazza Mansion from
La Palazza Mansion. Oh my
Azurite
god.
and Rebecca.
I was like engrossed in it. I was trying to like still say things while I was like listening because I was just like, and then what happened? like a kid. And like I was just listening to the story, like, and then what, Rain?
Yeah, I think like I feel like my energy is drained just from talking about this house. It's very dark.
I feel like it's not safe for women. I can tell you all that. Like that is the direct energy that I get, and that's not just because of the Heather thing, but I just feel like that it's so male. Oh, there's a lot of male energy in this house, so I just feel like being a woman in here would not be a good idea.
True.
But I mean, I feel like there could be some women that could probably live in this space, but they would have to have like a male energy as well.
But my mystery keeps going is I wonder what it's like now.
I do too. So if you guys know any more information or you know the people or whatever,
Or
let
if you're
us
the
know.
owner.
Right? Or if you're the owner, hit us up. Let us know if you're being creeped out. That'd be super cool. And again, if you guys have any more stories or anything to share with us, or if you have something you want us to research, you let us know that too. You know, we could also do a podcast on a story that you would like to hear about, and we could give you a shout out on that podcast as well. If there's something you're interested in your own hometown.
I will be having lots more episodes on haunted places, so catch us in the future on our future coming podcasts.
Yeah, I gotta go because apparently my son is like high energy and he's like ripping through this house right now.
Uh-oh.
Chris energy is rampant and he is not a spirit. He is just a 8-year-old child doing the most.
Chris, don't die today.
Don't die today, Chris. All right, guys. I will catch you later. Goodbye,
Later.
everybody. Love you.
Bye-bye.